What's the deal? Let me get up here. Bam. All right. What's good, my good peoples? What's going on? What is going on? I will say top of the morning, but it's not morning for anybody. Well, not nobody on here. Good afternoon. Sunshine baby, what up? That boy Ricky, what up? Victor Moan Jr., what up? Ohio Taj, what up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's the deal? How y'all feeling this good? What's today? Tuesday? I think today's Tuesday. I've been getting my days mixed up, so you know. And my bad for like a pre whatever scheduled, let people know I was getting on here because it was kind of last minute and I was getting stuff together and I just decided to let me just get online. Hopefully somebody on here, or I'll just be talking to myself, which is fine because sometimes I talk to myself and I'm not the only one. So don't try to make me feel bad about it. How about that? Salute, 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 salute. Salute. Let me see. Okay, bam. All right. And Sunshine, you in that Texas heat too, that good old humid heat, that sticky, the heat just be laying on you like a rug, like a cover, a blanket. Just be covering you in the heat. Crazy. Tafashe. Appreciate that. I do. I do appreciate that right there. That right there is the support I need. And look, I'm gonna get better with like scheduling it out, right? Because I'm still getting used to it. I know you're tired of hearing that, but I do want to do a schedule, and it's just between work and trying to create a schedule. It gets crazy sometimes. Really, I do want to do the idea I had up with luck. I want to come on right after Rios in the morning. I think let him cover that super early morning, whatever, and I come on right after. What time does Rios get off in the morning? Rios, my good brother Nefeli and Rios, what is up? Rios, what time you off in the morning? I like 8, right? I think like 8. I think so. I'm not sure. But I really want to do like up with luck, Hey, Rios, you're more than welcome to jump on too. I mean, I guess I would have to send you a link to do that, huh? But because we're gonna deal with this viral Marvin Sapp stuff today. With the church. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but not in detail. Maybe I need to send you the link to see if you want to jump on. Hold up. If you do want to jump on, no pressure. But yeah, I appreciate y'all falling in here. Oh, so Thizzy, that'll be perfect then. Excuse me for y'all who've seen I gleeked. And for you young people, you don't know what gleeked is. Don't even worry about it. But Thizzy, that'll be perfect. Because by the time I get going, you get up anyway, bam, you can jump on live. We in the game. Salute to the Ghetto Cafe in here. It's all good, Rios. No big deal. You're my brother, so you can jump on whenever you can. Shout out to Nick. Nick is definitely in the building. Shout out to Nick. Salute. Yeah. So I do want to get kind of right into it. And here's the thing. So this I want to lay this part out. I want to lay this out because if you've been living under a rock for the past few days, if you haven't seen, there's a viral video out with the minister Marvin Sapp, minister/singer for those who know him from his song "Never Would Have Made It," "Never Could Have Made It," "Never Would Have Made It." One of those. But there's a viral video that went out about Marvin Sapp and about some things he said during offering. And the video went viral. Now, for those who know, I am a Christian man, but I don't want to make this video a Christian video. I'm not going to go in like a It's not a church video, you know. And I love church, but it's not about that. It's more so about what I feel about, and I make a small connection, but not all the way. It's about what I feel about prosperity preaching and what it does to the people who aren't believers. So I think that this is a message that can go for anybody, right? I'm not a man of God talking to. I'm not church people talking to necessarily church people. There's many different faiths in here, and I know all of y'all can understand how people will use religion for financial gain a lot of times. So we're going to cover it in that way and not more so like church. Like, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, so we're going to deal with that. Appreciate y'all falling in, dropping the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to like and subscribe for sure. That's the most important thing when you fall in here. I mean, obviously engage because y'all my peoples, but like and subscribe is very important to me because it helps me get, I'm trying this community with my slogan, right? Good character, good community. Good character, good community. Good character, good community. That's what I'm trying to build. So the more I get more likes and subscribes, and the more dope people come in, really cool people with like-minded individuals, open-minded individuals who like to engage in all kind of conversation. We're looking for those people, right? So shout out to all y'all in here now. But I do want to go over this. Wait, do I even have the other video? I don't even know if I even have it. Let me see. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to show that video because we've seen it already. The viral video with Marvin Sapp telling the church ushers to close the door while he was doing offering. But what I do want to show y'all, and this is my first time doing it. I didn't get to get with Rios for him to show me how to do this. So I'll be doing sharing my screen to show y'all what most people didn't see about that viral video that went out. Because a lot of people don't know there was maybe 3 or 4 offerings that went down that same day, which to me is insane, but whatever. I'm not here to judge a little bit, right? But I just thought that was a lot on it. And I do want to show that if I can, but I got to share my screen. I got to see how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen in real time and show y'all what y'all probably didn't see, right? So let's check this out real quick. And this is from a page I follow called All Things Theology. And he be going in on some of these folks who be getting over prosperity preaching, twisting up the gospel and all kind of stuff like that. Anything that is anti Christianity, my man be on it, right? So I'm gonna do this for the first time, so bear with me if I don't get it right. If I'm gonna share screen, man, the share screen thing. What we picking? Oh, this right here. All right, check this out. Wait, can y'all see that or y'all just hear it? Let me pause it. Can y'all see that or you just hear it? Because I gotta see if I'm getting it right. Because I see me in the screen, but I don't necessarily see that. So let me know. You don't see or hear. Okay, good. So let me get it right. Let me see. Here's tactics. So let me see. Let me see. I should have put the clip in here. Oh, oh. I think this is it. Let me see. Let me try it now. Ah, there we go. Okay. How do I play it though? Can I play it from here? I'm trying to play it from here. Let me see what it's doing.
This is actually a rare thing, even amongst the worst of the worst churches. But we do want to give a response because the world is watching, and we want the world to let them know, like TMZ, Shade Room, that this is not representative of true biblical Christianity. And so we want to talk about that. So I went back and I knew there was a first offering done. I went back and watched that, and I'm not familiar of this gentleman's name. He's some bishop, and I actually think what he said, in some ways, is a lot worse. In other ways, it actually makes Marvin Sapp's statements a lot worse. We're going to see that. We're going to get right into it, guys. I don't plan on being on here very long. We're going to talk about it. Let's get into it.
When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, my soul cries.
So real quick, I got to show you this. I'm not sure if you can hear me in the screen or if I'm fresh on the screen, but I got to show you this because this happened earlier that service. And though the Marvin Sapp thing went viral, we got to see this other bishop who, in my opinion, was up there a while and earlier with a whole nother offering with a whole different price. So we're going to deal with that also right now. Let's check it out.
Hallelujah. As you take your seat, I asked the Lord tonight, I said, Lord, we have a heavy budget. I want to receive an offering that glorifies you.
Thank you.
Now, so if you can't hear what he's saying, he said, "Hey, he asked the Lord, hey, we have a heavy budget, and I want to, take up an offering that glorifies you." I mean, I think what we're about to see is something that is totally not glorifying to God, and actually, as we saw Marvin Sapp's, definitely not glorifying to God, right? Where you shut people in and you tell them don't move, right? I mean, it sounds like a hostage situation. But let's keep going. Yeah, this is an impromptu live, by the way. I watched this is the first offering of the Marvin Sapp's offering for those who are coming in and watching. Let's keep going. And yes, I did say first offering.
And here's what God told me. He said, there is a new beginning for some folks. So I wrote my check for $800. And the Lord told me challenge 12 people to bring $800. No.
And so he's saying this.
We got to stop it right there, right? We got to stop it right there. The Lord told you to tell only 12 people for $800. Let me tell you something. I'm not into telling people what the Lord told them or not, right? But I pretty much use my discernment when something doesn't feel right, right? It's like, as humans, we have like spidey senses, right? If y'all watch comic books, Spider-Man has a spidey senses. Let him know something going on, something dangerous about to happen, some craziness about to go on. This is what I feel when I hear that, right? The Lord told you to tell 12 people that you need $800. Check this out, fam. Check this out, fam. All right, let me just play a little more of it. Y'all got to see the rest of this.
This is some instructions from the Lord. So, hey, he wrote his $800, which I don't have a problem with him saying, hey, I'm going to give as much as I want to. But now he's instructing, 12 people to give $800. See, hey, we're going to do some quick math right here. You guys know math is not my subject. You can't be good at everything. $800, so that's $9,600 just right there. Don't worry, the price is going to go up. That's actually very little. That's actually very little. So right here, you got a smooth 10 grand. Okay, let's round up, right?
10
Maybe
grand.
One person felt the spirit, right? Extra. You got 13 to give, right? So 10 grand right here. And hey, we remember Marvin Sapp really encouraged over 40,000. So 50,000 collectively. I'm gonna get into why I think this is actually bad. I mean, look, you've already made the people pay their tickets. They had to fly in, right? If they wanted to come to this conference. I'm not saying you shouldn't charge. I'm just saying, I mean, what's the point of the prices if when they get there, they gotta buy into the Lord's work some more, right? But let's keep going.
Any of you on the floor, you want to come, I want you to put it in my hand. I need 12 folks. Bishop Martin, if you'll come count those for me. After one.
So, okay. I don't want to play all that whole clip because it's extra out, right? So, so after that, just to give you a shortcut of what was going on, after that, he also asked 25 people that was sitting out in the church or the conference or whatever for $500. After that, he asked 12 people for 800, which is almost 10 racks, and then asked 25 people out in the pews, well, not pews, but they're at a conference somewhere for $500. And this was an offering, offering before another offering, before the Marvin Sapp offering that you saw when he said, close the doors. So, look, man, look, here's my thing. Here's my thoughts about the Marvin Sapp thing first. Let's deal with that. One, I don't mind. I'm talking about me speaking from a Christian man, a man of God, right? I don't mind sending money to give money to my church, right? And when I say money, I mean what I can give with what I've been given or what I've made or whatever. Like so, the Bible says 10% of your tithes, whatever. Sometimes I don't have it. Most times I don't have it, right? It's just life, right? So I'm going to add my good partner, Mr. Howard, in here. So, Mr. Howard, how you doing?
You want the real answer? Happy New Month, my guy.
This is my good brother, Mr. Howard 365. He's first of all, an awesome human being, very intelligent human being who makes dope content on a daily basis. I asked to have him come on here and a couple of my other partners to deal with some of this subject, this content today about Marvin Sapp. Where I am in the space, Rob, is I just showed them that. So you've seen the Marvin Sapp video that went viral, right?
And and I've also seen the content where people were talking about that's how he got down years ago before this video went viral.
Did you see that, right? What a lot of people didn't see, I just showed my peoples in here. What a lot of people didn't see was there was three more offerings done that day, right? I just played a clip where it was another bishop that went on before Marvin. I'm not sure how far before Mr. Sapp. He asked 8 people for he asked 12 people for 800 and then asked 25 people for 500, right? So, and the way he tried to tie it in, I don't like that biblical manipulation, right? I was telling them how I was talking to my man about Drew, and I was talking about how there's church and then there's biblical, right?
Yeah.
Church be making up their own rules. Then there's biblical. The text says a specific thing, right? And you've been in enough churches to know that church be having their own rules, their own way they get out. And a lot of these rules are traditional, right? Whether it's just church, whether it's Baptist, whether it's a black church, they carry on traditions, right? And a lot of these traditions aren't necessarily in the Bible, right? And I was telling them I didn't want to make this this is not a Christian live stream today. I happen to be a Christian, but this is more so talking about how prosperity preaching doesn't help gain followers into, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we dealing with that today. That's what we dealing with, right? So
okay. I'm with you 100%.
Okay, so what I didn't like was how he was asking for the money, and they don't know. I mean, they don't know that people took so much offerings that day. The problem is that I was saying how I tithe, right? When I have it, I have it. If I don't, I just don't, right? I'm not to be made to feel like I'm less of a Christian or not saved enough or whatever if I don't have the money, right? If I don't have my 10%, or if I don't have my whatever, or if I don't have an offering, I may have my 10%, but I don't have my offering. I'm not made to feel like I'm not a Christian or I'm not, you know what I mean? That's not cool. But I think what happens a lot of these days is I can only speak from the black church because that's the only church I've been in. And I don't mean it, I'm not speaking absolute or a grand scale of black church, right? But the black church tends to make you feel like you are actually set apart if you don't abide by these rules. and some of these rules start to make you feel bad as a person sitting in church. I know for a long time that's the reason why I didn't go to church, because of how you make me feel. If I'm not run, if I didn't jump up and run down the aisles, you telling me I'm not praising him enough. But my ministry ain't to be jumping out and passing out. That's not my thing.
How do you know? How you know if you never tried it?
If you never tried it, that's the thing. Right? But I think we're getting. It's a very dangerous. We're at a very dangerous time right now in the world today, where manipulation on all fronts are just at an all-time high. Whether men manipulate women, women manipulate men, the church manipulating the people manipulating the gospel and twisting them to their own meanings and making. I've seen the church for almost every different type of lifestyle nowadays, and we know that the Bible is exclusive. It's inclusive that anybody can be a part, but exclusive to you can't just do anything in here. Being a man of God, right? There's ways you should live, right? There's rules and stuff you should live, right? So I'm just watching people twist up all these things, and it's like I'm trying to talk to people and friends about my testimony, and when people talk bad about church or they talk bad about Christianity, and sometimes it's like I can only speak on the Gospels and what's changed in my life, but it's hard for me to tell somebody like, yeah, man, come to my church, and you just watch 3 different pastors rob their church blind in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And I remember. Let me see if I still have that video. I remember. Let me see if I can show this. Where we at?
I believe in you. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
This is why podcasts be having like teams of people where it's like, oh, I'm talking about something and somebody over there pull it up, and then we get to talk about it without you having to do all the hard work.
Let me see this right here.
You're on a nice start here. I don't know how long you've been cooking, but it smells good in this room. You know what I'm saying? Something in the ingredient sounds right. And
let me see. Okay. I have to show this.
Screen under the screen within the screen.
A web page asking for $65 million for a new Creflo Dollar Ministries jet is offline tonight. Earlier this week, a video on the web explained the works of the mega church and why it needed a new Gulfstream G650. The video says that their 30-year-old jet no longer works, and each of Dollar's followers were asked to give $300 to buy the new one. Now, multiple reports criticize the campaign. Critics say a dollar is worth an estimated $27 million. And the average income in College Park, the home of his World Changers Church, is just over $29,000 a year. Even though the site is offline, they are still accepting donations. And, of course, this is one of our top stories online. Jeffrey said, quote, he should be ashamed. His congregation should tell him to fly coach. And said he should be asking for money for the homeless. If you need to fly, buy a ticket. And Greg said these mega church preachers are the opposite of Jesus.
Look, man, that man Creflo Dollar asked his church for $300 a head. He has a mega church, so that's thousands of people. Wait, it's still on?
Oh, yeah, it's still sorry on. About that. Hit it.
Sorry about that. He asked his church for $300. I think thousands of people, and to get anywhere close to $65 million, so he can buy a jet so he can minister back and forth and around the world globally. Right?
Like, I want to play devil's advocate so bad, but it's a struggle. But I'm not going to start there.
No, it's all good.
I do want to try to do devil's advocate, but
no. I think I know where you're going to come from with that. And go ahead. Actually, go ahead, please.
I'm gonna start with what my real thoughts are. First, everything you said, I'm fully digesting that. Right. Mm-hmm. A lot of what I heard you say used the word feelings connected to manipulation, like manipulation, this, and how we feel. And I think that's loud in my head because of what I get to do for a living, like how I make money and even content creation now. Like, you know, in our personal friendship, I talked to you about, you know, this content creation game and how you get people to engage. You have to make them feel something.
Right.
Right. And I think the easiest way that people are manipulated is through their feelings. It doesn't matter if it makes sense, if it feels right.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if my brain says one thing, but my feelings say another thing. You dig what I'm saying? These blessings cost for sure. That's where I was gonna go with the devil's advocate. But
okay.
And I'm still gonna go there. I think I could get my thoughts there.
Okay.
The next thing I think is a lot of what I heard in when I first got on was what people think about a thing, what people think about church, what people think about black men, what people think about marriage, what people think about the Republican Party, what people think about Kamala Harris, what people like. It's all think based.
Yeah.
Right. It's you can't separate the two, and a lot of the things that people think can be based on popular opinion or stereotypes, even like content, right? Like if we blast Marvin Sapp and then a year later Marvin Sapp tries to do something, people go, I don't really know nothing, and I haven't done my homework. I don't have a personal relationship with him, but I remember they were talking about him doing this thing, and it's just a little clip.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not the Never Would Have Made It song. It's not like, how do you become more infamous for your tithe and offering clip than you do for Wild Gospel 2001? Like, like the number one gospel song of the year. Kirk Franklin, Marvin Sapp, Never Would Have Made It. We Fall Down, and Richard Smallwood, Total Praise. Top 5 gospel songs, black niggas.
Right.
And now you're associated with prosperity teachings and scamming, and you know, I smell a scam.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just part of the game. And
is it?
I think that I do
No,
think that it's part of the game. Like when people say they like Mr. Howard, but they don't know Mr. Howard, it's because that's part of the game too. There are people who don't like me, have never met me, have only looked at one post, and they know everything about me. Like, oh, you're a this and you're a that.
Right.
You don't even know me in real life, and you haven't even looked at the totality of the things I've talked about online, presented in video, word, picture. You don't even know what I'm about. But you caught that, or you heard that somebody else don't like me, and you don't like me because they don't like me, and you like them. Like, it's so easy to get into that, and I think that that's the danger of the lack of like independent thought. People doing their research, slowing down their reactions, because we all are clickbait. I saw that, I heard that, that's what they're talking about, and we're not getting into nuanced conversation, which is what I love about what you do and what my friendships with you and my crew. We have nuanced conversation, and somebody gonna play double advocate. It's probably gonna be Luck. Luck is probably gonna be the I ain't rolling because somebody got to present the other side. Somebody got to be able to say, but what about this? If everybody's like, yeah, man, everything is amazing that you're saying and doing, and I like and we never look at like, this might not work for this or these. That's, I think, dangerous.
Yeah.
There's also in church people who don't have their own personal relationship with Jesus. They just got a personal relationship with a church, and they got opinions about everything: church, God, the Bible. But they don't have their own personal relationship with it, just like they don't know me personally because they only speak me online. They don't know you. They got opinions. And on one side, we want people to like us and support us and to buy things or donate to the Cash App or become a subscriber. Like, we want the like, but we don't want the ouch.
Yeah.
And I think that's dangerous too. Trying to go towards the devil's advocate side. I'll shut up after this. I didn't watch the whole church service. I don't even know what that church service was. I don't know if it was a Sunday morning 7 a.m. service.
Last year.
Okay, so that changes it for me. Whether it's a Wednesday night Bible study, a yearly conference, a convocation for somebody becoming a bishop or a some of them services get down like that, especially in certain denominations.
For sure.
When I've ever visited a non-Black church or non-black denomination of Christianity service or a non-Christian service, it's not about feelings. Religious connection to community, to the word, to the faith, it is not about feelings. Black people made it very feelings. Pentecost, day of Pentecost, we made it very feelings. So because we are so feelings driven, it don't matter how good the scripture teaching was. If I didn't feel him, her preach, that was whack. They whack. I don't want them back. I'm not. It's about feeling. That's a black people thing.
Yeah.
I'll shut up there.
Yeah, I think also, to your point, yes. And if you're talking to a whole entire people that's been like, you know what I mean, they've been not added, but let's say they've been like this in the world, the way we've been in this world, we're heavy on feelings. And I think we're heavy on feeling it. What is that? You hear
That
a
echo?
double?
It's the audio loop. Yeah. You're good right now, though.
Okay. It's a double. It's a double feeling. It's double for us because we're such a compassionate people, and we're like compassion first, nice first. We've been done in a certain way where we've been nasty in a different kind of way where how we react to certain things. But when it comes to we've been manipulated, lied to, and done over so much that wherever we see it or wherever we quote unquote feel like it's happening, then we're loud about it. Right? We're very loud about it. And it's just the way we are, right? And when it comes to the when you're talking about the rules of what does it biblically say about tithing or offering, right? There's that conversation, but my conversation is more so on the tactics used to get said thing, right? And what happens is this is where it gets a little thwarted, is because I could be asking the craziest way to get your 10% so I can literally use this for the church. They don't do the building fund too much no more. I mean, I'm sure some churches do it, but to go out
The
in the
Wi-Fi
world,
fund. This Wi-Fi costs money. Somebody in Africa got to be able to catch this stream.
somebody got to do
And
something,
that
right?
costs money.
Right. So everything's costs money. So I was never arguing the fact that churches need tithes and offerings to do for the church. The church it stands, and these things need to be paid for. Right. So I get that. I'm not talking about that part. But when certain type of people use certain kind of tactics to manipulate the people to give, that's where I have a problem. Right. And so people would argue, well, whatever kind of tax he used, he got the 10%, and that money went towards what it's supposed to go to. Why do you care? Well, there's a verse for that, right? On how God needs you to be a cheerful giver, right? There's verses that goes against what they're actually doing to get the money. If you're doing something else with the money, I'm not even talking about them niggas, right? Because that's right. That's God gonna deal with that on a whole other level, and it's hard to tell who's doing what with what money, right? I know my church, Greater Zion in Compton, that church is busy all year round with giving to people, whether it's to its members, somebody short on rent, somebody about to lose a house, car, somebody need an apartment. We built a dialysis center next door for people to use for free in our church and our community. Giveaways, food, backpack stuff, pay for college scholarships, pay for gas for people for free. The whole year, you can literally see where this money is going. Literally see. I would have a problem with my own pastor if he starts to make me feel feelings, right? Like I'm not, because it's the wording. Like I'm not Christian enough. I'm not saved enough. You ain't never been through nothing if you ain't do a backflip out your chair when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
Or you ain't never been through nothing if I ain't, because it happens. It happens on a wide scale, especially dealing with the black church. I have a problem because if you start to make me feel like, like I'm not doing enough. For example, I'm jumping, but I need to tie in this point with this example. I remember hearing a pastor say, you ain't saved if you can't speak in tongues. That's not even biblical.
It's denominational, though.
In what denomination? But it's not biblical. But see, to your point, yes. But it's not biblical, right? So you can split up all the denominations all you want. Is it biblical? And that's why I'm having a problem. Not with that specific. I know every verse in the Bible about tongues. I know that's not true, right? So I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is, before I knew it was true, how I was feeling, I had many conversations with my wife, my pastor, about that, and then I had to go do the research myself, and it made me feel like, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? I know how I feel about God. I know how I feel about this, and I'm praying, and when I give to Him, and all this stuff. But wait, but you said this. Not my pastor. I'm saying somebody else who said it. Right? They're saying this, and once I got right, and I did the research and got it right. Okay, that was off, way off, and then that was a denomination thing, right, or old school traditional thing. He learned that from this, right, and that's an issue. That's a problem, right? And but what I'm saying is that almost made me leave a church because they telling people stuff like that. That's the manipulation tactics to make them move a certain kind of way. When you tell people stuff like that, it starts to make them feel a way for things they can't even help or do. That's not gospel. So when you speak in that, it's almost like, not the same, but almost like twisting scripture, right? And that's becomes a problem when the people that are in lead, when you got people in the comments saying, that's why I don't go to church, or that's why but Josh said, what you say, Josh? That's why I departed from the church. I'm not sure what part, but something made him depart from church because he didn't like what was being spoke. Something went on in there, something, right? To your point. Okay, here, Josh, here. Oh, I can hear you.
Did somebody mute somebody?
No, I didn't mute him. He's not muted. It's some of your end, Josh, I think. Let me see.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. I hear you now.
Okay. Because y'all said, I think my setting was giving y'all an echo. Yeah, I feel like, man, I had to come in on this. I'm at work, look, so I can't stay that long. But I was like,
it's all good.
Conversation. I gotta.
Thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Gotta come on in. Yeah, I feel like Rob said, denominational, right? Like Kojic, that like women can't wear skirts past the knee, right? Like you better cover up everything, right? And it's an affront to God. Where does it say that in the Bible? He says, "Give me your poor, your naked, like all of your." Right, but we put these things on church, right? I grew up in a Baptist church, and they preached fire and brimstone, right? But we know that salvation is not conditional. You saved, you saved, right? If that's your belief, right? So
for sure,
me,
no, that's what the Bible says.
I deconstructed a long time ago because of some of these pieces, and it's so good to hear that your church is community based because I feel like that's where the real power and the work is.
For sure,
you played that clip. Creflo's church, the average income is $29K across his community, and he won a $60 million jet. Like, in service of the community that you live in,
right?
Is like, to me, is the goal. And to Rob, I think that a part of that is too. Like, I playing on feelings and the manipulation of those particular pieces. It just, I started doing my own I was like, this isn't for me anymore at all. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel both of y'all perspectives make a lot of sense and resonate with me because I was preached fire and brimstone, and it was always about manipulating how I felt in order to stay compliant with whatever that particular thing was. Right? We got a building fund, we got a Wi-Fi fund, we got a trip to Africa. Oh yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, but you giving in service of the community. That's what
for sure. 100%. Yeah. And I think that's my, when I'm looking at these Joel Osteen's types, or Peter Popoff or Creflo Dollars, and these dudes that say the most outrageous things. It's so what I look at it as, if a lot of these quote unquote, and I'll say this is how I feel about it, but a lot of these so-called pastors that turned into motivational speakers, not necessarily pastors, right? They're pacifying you to get you through the make you feel good to get you through the week, right? And you said Baptists teach. I'm a church, Baptist church, right? Fire and brimstone, yes, also, but you got to be careful even with that. Not you. Baptist church. Got to be careful with that also, because it's like you try to be so hardcore with scripture, right? And sometimes it is what it is. I don't argue that part, but I also understand that there's a way to do it all, right? There's a way to, like, just because if you read in the Gospels, Jesus didn't talk to nobody like that in no kind of way. Even when his disciples, even when he's walking with his disciples, he got mad at them because they didn't understand where he was going. He was just trying to describe to them how the resurrection was coming. And he was so mad at them. He said, have y'all not been listening to me the whole time? Have you not been with me the whole time? Have you not been watching me? He was so mad at them, but he also didn't trip or use manipulation tactics to get the point across. The verses are the verses. The word is the word. Let me back up a little bit. So, because like I said, I don't want to get into like the churchy part of. We just happen to be talking about church, right? And it's important that my whole thing, what I be caring about in these kind of conversations, are the people who are non-believers. That's who I be caring about. I'm a believer already. That's it. I'm going to die a believer, right? So for the people who are non-believers, I'm always like sketchy about what they're taking in, and then who in certain positions are feeding this information. Because you have very big pastors have been in the last couple of years saying the wildest stuff, right? And I attribute most of it to social media, because a lot of these pastors have been doing this for years. We just haven't been, ain't no cameras in the church, or you could, a lot of us didn't have what's the, the old school, your churches broadcasting to like, not pay-per-view, but the old school broadcasting networks. You know what I'm talking about, the old school.
TBN?
We wasn't listening. We wasn't watching that. So it's on social media. So now you're getting this pastor saying something that may seem wild. Close the doors thing, I've heard that many times. Marvin Sapp was not the first to say close the doors. I've heard it worse. I've heard lock the doors. I've heard lock the doors from pastors telling people, we going to do offering, lock the doors, make sure y'all don't try to go nowhere. Y'all trying to hurry up and get to. I've heard pastors say it. So that's not the first, right? So for it to go viral like it did, it's just a point to, and people are hearing it, and the consistent narrative of across, like, it ain't the world, it ain't everybody, but a very large part of people are saying, see, that's why I don't go to church, or see, that's why you can't trust the black church, or see, that's why you can't trust these pastors, right? And I'm like, damn, it's messed up, because I feel like it's the one black guy who stole the one white woman's purse, and then she
That's
just
exactly
like,
what I'm talking
see,
about.
black people be doing this.
If you
And I
watch the
hate
news
it.
and you keep score on what racial group and what gender and what city, you're gonna be like, yes, it's not us, or dang, it's us again, or like depending on what team you on.
Right.
What team am I on? Dang, that's another one against us. Because that is the game, and we're not looking at it in context. What happened in a church conference got to video that went the big stage, and now everybody is talking about it, right? Everyone's seeing it, and everyone feels a way, and then makes their decisions from that place, whether they're rolling or not, and they're arguing or not. But we're not talking to Marvin. We're not talking to the congregation. We're not talking to the attendees. We're not talking to those that he pastors or preaches to at whatever dates around the year that he's been doing for the last 20 years. We're talking to the town square, the internet.
Yeah.
So as a byproduct, we're going to create or solidify, perpetuate stereotypes, prejudices, and then the choices that come from that, because we're not holding Marvin accountable. We're not holding whoever church pastor let him get up there and do that. We're not looking at the clip after that to talk to parishioners and be like, this is what you could have done to hold them accountable. As an usher, this is what you could have. We're not doing anything to help anything. We're just yelling and spewing to each other. And from that, it's like watching the news, like, oh man, another one. So if I go around and say I'm a Christian, if I go around and say I'm a pastor, if I go around and say, I love Never Would Have Made It by Marvin Sapp. Can you play, DJ, could you play one time, Never Would Have Made It by Marvin? You can't even play R. Kelly in here. Why would you play that in here? Like people feel a way about Michael Jackson songs. Like, hold on, he didn't even do what they said he did. I was at Michael Jackson's house, Never Ranch.
Right.
He didn't touch on me in no time. I was cute. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear my testimony in court, though. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not talking to the people, we're talking to everybody. And the byproduct of that is harmful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, oh, you must say something, Josh?
Amen. Glory.
Glory.
I think
Shabbat.
and you're spot on too. I think here's the thing, as a follower, well, it depends on your for people. So I'm not an apologist. So I'm not the one that's on the front line fighting to defend every day, every verse, every scripture, everything, right? But also, um, you know, I also appreciate what Afro Butterfly said. I posted it earlier. You know, right? We can't be afraid to call out the negative thing. And to your point, Rob, to the people, to the doer, to the person, to the but and I'm not sure if it's not happening. I've seen the response after that a couple of times. People have called him. People have told him about his tone or how he said it, what he said. Which it's hard for me to hear somebody called. He said somebody called him and told him about his tone and how he was wrong in his aggressive nature on how he said to close the doors, because you can't use that tone with asking people to close the doors and tell them it's not because I don't want you to leave, right? Well, that tone sounds like my mama when she said, close the damn door, you ain't going nowhere.
And start coming inside and outside my house,
right?
bringing outside air inside my house.
You're talking to a culture of people who all, in some way, one form or fashion or another, think alike, right? And we heard something, and that triggered something
y'all
else.
ain't doing nothing but leaving here to go eat anyway. We'll get out of here at the same time. That's what he said.
Right. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, so close the door means to stay, right? So you closing the door. So don't tell me in your response later that that's not what you meant. You meant it's called order. You know, sometimes people be walking around and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand that. I've been in those churches too, but that's not what occurred
You used
before.
to have to do this. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm about to do number one.
Right. So now I'm taking it as, oh, okay, so you lied. And if you lied, then that means what I thought about what you said is what I thought about what you said, right? And
what I thought about what you said is what I thought about what you said.
Here's what you said. So now I'm looking at it like, see, now you caught out there and people saw it, right? And now you're being questioned about it. And here's the thing. You as Marvin Sapp, I know it's tradition with you too, because we've heard that by preachers many years before you. So we know that a lot of pastors, for example, it's no just randomness that a preacher says, turn to your neighbor and say, that's tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Or
it's culture.
It's culture, right? Or when I say you gonna jump out your seat when I say this right here, culture.
Slap your neighbor if you.
Slap your neighbor if you, culture, right? Look down your aisle and tell your culture. So and the heavy breathing in between.
When I say hip hop, y'all say hordes. Hip hop,
it's culture.
It's the same.
It's culture, right? So a lot of it's performative, right? And
which is about
performative, not necessarily biblical, right?
It's not about intelligence. It's not about learning the word to get it in your heart and your mind.
Exactly.
It's about entertaining you and making you feel something. It's art.
For sure. Which in some cases can be pacifying you, right? In a lot of ways can be pacifying you. You know,
art.
And
it's not intelligence.
That's the easiest way. This is what I was looking up too. I was looking up this. So here's culture. For people who are in church, you're gonna know this. This is what culture looks like. Luke 6, verse 30. What is it? 38.
Oh, did you get frozen on your own?
You are full, pressed down, shaking together, make room for more. You know the verse.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta overflow.
Everybody, we all know the verse. Whoever in the church, they know the verse. That's the verse they say before they do offering, right?
It's overflow.
It's overflow. Here's the problem, right? If you read verse 36, 37, and 38 and 39, he's not even talking about money. So why would you place that scripture in front of the offering?
It feel good. What you mean?
I got it.
It don't go with what it don't go in general. So I'm gonna take this little piece out of context because it fits the narrative that I am trying to tell you right now.
100%.
I think it's hilarious when people go, that'll preach, and it has nothing to do with nothing.
Well, I think, Rob, you said this before. It's like a jack of all trades, master of none is better than a master of one, right? They forget that other piece, right? It's like, you use that particular thing to fit your narrative, right? And it's like, that's not even in the right context. But people don't know, right? And you just listening to what's being told to you, and you like, yeah.
But my practice personally, just as a adult human that does what I do in the world, when I saw the clip and people started roasting Marvin Sapp, I didn't say anything about Marvin Sapp because I wasn't there. And I don't know what kind of service it was. I don't know if it was a men's conference. I don't know if it was a church convention. I don't know if it was his church. I don't know if it was Sunday school with babies in there.
Raise for at first.
I didn't know enough. So to see the clip and not put it in context there, I was like, I need more information.
Yeah.
I said, it looked bad though, and it is funny. There's jokes all over this.
That are hilarious too.
I don't know the context. So I'm not about to engage in the community forum that does the thing that if it was my homie, my pastor, me, my people that I really care about, that people were like getting it and being ethery about, I would have real feelings because they didn't get the full context.
Yeah.
But I mean, but that talks to like, that is a large culture shift that's happening. Like critical thinking and that's not even a thing anymore. It's like, I'm gonna just take the sound bite and then I'm gonna go in on the sound bite and put my own feelings behind it. And it's like, wait a minute, if you would have just like waited 2 more minutes and listen to the rest of it, show the whole clip,
read the whole scripture.
Yeah, we're a sound bite society now, right? We a clickbait. Like what did Josh say at that one moment at that one time? Oh no, like let's get on him, right? And it's like, wait, but it was in context, it makes sense. But you clip me for 4 seconds, and then you got a crazy statement that I might have said that sounds out of character.
Before you talk about how crazy it is, make sure you have context. Like I'm gonna use my terrible example that I used in the group chat with y'all. When I made the post that I made that went viral on Threads,
yeah,
I perfectly crafted that like a battle rapper ready to get at somebody. I knew line for line, bar for bar what I was doing, even the order of things that I put. Even this morning, there's still a lady who will not let go, even though she's wrong. Wow. Even though every time I respond to her, like, did you read it? Not what it made you feel like, not what you thought I said.
Right.
Did you read what I said? She's using all kind of mean words, name calling, all kind of wild stuff that I low-key had to mute because it was really offensive what she was trying to say. But the point is, I don't expect anything different because people struggle with comprehension of words, let alone a picture. Like I do an activity in one of my workshops where I use a picture and I say these words as a facilitator. Describe what you see to your neighbor. So small group, pair, trip, 3 people. Describe what you see. And instead of describing what people see, people are putting story to it, opinions on it, evaluating it, interpreting it. This is a mother and a daughter. They're at how did you get that? If you just describe what happened and not what you feel about what you see or what you think happened or interpretation of what you happened, or this person interpreted it, you saw their interpretation and then you interpret, which is what religion does, which is what our government does with politics, which is what all the things that we do wrong as people in institutions and systems. It's this is what it is, and then from there, everybody is playing telephone with it. They're interpreting the interpretation of the interpretation.
Right.
That's the issue. If you are translating it for me and I can't go get it from the original source or even care to look and just trust your interpretation, your evaluation, I might miss something that is. There's a movie that someone told you don't see because it's whack, and when you watched it, you were like, I don't think it's whack. Don't go eat there. Don't go eat there. That ain't good. That's really not good food. And when you go there, you go, I actually like it. I'm so glad I didn't trust your opinion.
There's a phrase that I use at work all the time when I'm like counseling or coaching, and it's trust but verify. Right? Like if you're, especially if you're like, even for your closest people, if Luck was come to me and be like, Josh, this thing happened, this was crazy, man. I'm gonna trust Luck because I know his character. But also I might want to verify myself and not just blindly trust. I would expect anybody else to do the same thing, right? In a church, right? They like, go do your own research, trust but verify. Because to your point, right, like, oh, you may really respect this person's recommendations on food, and then you go eat there and you like, this was fire to me. I don't know what's going on with your taste buds, but I had a great time and I enjoyed myself.
Okay, so I see Afro Butterfly's comment. I agree that we're not talking about taste, but I don't know where you came in on the conversation. This is all about taste. At the level that we're digesting it is about taste, because I wasn't there and I feel a way about what I saw based on my experience, my beliefs, my teachings, my culture. There are other places that are like, I actually don't see anything wrong with that, especially if everyone was prepared to do that, because that's what we do every year. That's the culture of this event.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because there are events where it's like, if you walk in here, this is what we're doing in here. It's like Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club because it's a Fight Club.
Yeah, or it's like the end of the year, like you do a shut-in for New Year's, right? You know you're gonna be in there from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. It's a shut-in every year, right? You know what to expect. Somebody else may see that and be like, "That's crazy."
That's crazy. But out of context, that's not going to taste good. And then I use my principle that might be the Constitution, it might be the law, it might be the Bible scripture that I like or have been taught or believe in. And somebody else literally can be like, but that's not what the Bible scripture was about. If you put it in context of who he was talking to and who said it when first, and then apply it to you. But we don't do that. We just take the scripture and be like, oh, that's the thing. Just like we take the clip and that's the thing. It doesn't matter what the thing really is. It's about how it tastes to me. But the whole reason we could be manipulated is because of taste.
But is she speaking from a standpoint of having context? And at this point, I want to say if she's a believer, and now she's standing on principles and what has to be done when something like that is blown out of is public, right? Because somebody has to say something, right? And when it comes to speaking on, it's like when, for example, I don't have the clip, so I'm not gonna play it. But what's his name? What's his name? Brian from Pastor Brian from Atlanta. What's his name? Something Bryant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I forgot his name.
Jamal Bryant? Whatever.
Jamal Bryant. He was at Marvin Sapp's church when he did this too.
That's cool. That's
funny. When he did it, it went viral. He went viral when he said 85% of his life, Jesus was out of order, right? so that clip went. I'm laughing when I said it because I hate repeating it.
Because it sounds crazy. If that's the tagline if that's the hook to the TikTok video.
And I watched the whole entire thing. I watched the whole entire from when he walked up to when he walked down. That's exactly what he was saying. He was out of order, right? So I got all the full context and everything. So he was up there. So the first initial reaction from the crowd was like what? And then kind of like some people laughed and stuff. And then somebody in the back, they don't hear you talk that talk. I'm like, he ain't said nothing yet. So you just the vibe of the church be funny. And then he started explaining what he meant by that, saying that basically in short, he was saying that Jesus being a carpenter and all that and coming up in age, he was doing things that was out of order because his main mission was the resurrection and the stuff, the stuff teaching and then the resurrection. But fam, if you don't have a story from Jesus from 13 to 33, or when being a baby all the way to 33, I think it was 33. How you just make up some stuff in the middle of that and talk about him being out of order, right? You don't know what he was doing in the middle of to that. It ain't written nowhere.
Even if you look at chronologically, how many days are we talking about in these pages?
Right,
exactly.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
So anyway, I don't want to make
99% of the statistics that people quote ain't real statistics.
Right.
Including my 99.
Yeah, there's that. Right, there's that too. He was just
Including your
throwing statistics
99
up.
that you just said.
He said 85%. I'm like, what? So anyway, so
It's a
that was all
good
bad.
TikTok though.
It was all bad, and it was at Marvin Sapp church. They was just standing up praising and they going crazy, and he was up there talking this foolishness. The problem is that, and then he got scorched for it. He had to respond and all this stuff. Pastors talking about him on TV, and people called in. He got so many phone calls, and people trying to check him and discipline him, whatever. People were doing the things that you said they should do, right? You should call him, check him, talk to him, do all the things, right? I remember my pastor said something in church that I even misunderstood. But him being my friend, I called him like, hey, what's going on? What you said today? Like I was on him about that. My pastor, no, I don't give no passes. You being my friend and the pastor, there's a respect there. But also, if I feel like you said something that's not biblical or off the text, even if I'm still learning, I'm on you. Because I'm not going to be sitting in no church where somebody's freestyling the text about what Jesus did one day. We're not doing none of that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to her point, the principles come into play once you do have context. And if you are, what if I'm an evangelist? Apologist? Then I am arguing principle, and it gets dangerous after that. To your point, though, Rob, I also understand what you're saying because as a viewer who just seen a video clip, it's literally just taste, right? Because you can start to look at context of scripture. Well, what does he mean by that? What do you mean by close the doors? Like, did he lock them? Did he say close or lock? You know what I mean? There's people arguing that thing, right? He didn't say lock.
Yep.
Let's deal away with that. People lied about that. He didn't say lock the doors. That's a whole other.
It's a better story though.
Yeah, that's Joe Clark's type of stuff right there.
And Joe Clark was effective.
Right.
He was out of order. He probably would have got fired.
Yeah,
but he was effective.
85% of the time, he was out of order.
Was he effective? What's the fraction? 6-12.
I think most of this. That's the thing about the internet, right? It's like Denzel spoke on that. It's like too much information. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. It's too much access.
It's too much, and it's too many opinions. You know, like most of it. To use a Rob line, like this statistic isn't real, but 99% of the stuff I see is all opinion based. You know what I'm saying? It's coded in. Okay, how do I feel? What did I grow up with? And now I'm seeing this clip. I'm about to just unleash all of these opinions on you, and some of it's super hurtful, right? Like you don't have the context. You're not reading into exactly what it was. You weren't there. You don't really have a place to comment on that, but we will. As a culture, we have to. We have to.
But that's where we are as a culture of the world, not just the internet.
Yeah, that's the
world. It doesn't matter if you went and got a associate's degree, a certificate, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate, and then put in time to become skilled at the thing that you are now knowledgeable about.
Right.
An idiot will get up there and be like, I don't care about none of that. I don't believe in that. I don't agree with that. I don't like how you said it. It's like, you couldn't get on a panel at a conference to disagree with this person because you're not qualified. But anybody with a camera can clip it and argue, then debate and refute. You don't have to cite a source, which is what you have to do in academia to qualify your degrees.
100%.
You don't have to have experience in this area. You just got to have an opinion.
And a camera.
That's it. That's it. And like to say one thing, because look, I do have to jump off. So, and I just want to say thank you. Let me hop on
out of
for
order.
a little bit.
Sure.
I'm out of order.
Not more.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
not as important as your job.
It is. It's not. But that like a part, and I think Afro Butterfly just said it. A lot of deprogramming to do. So I'll let y'all talk about that. Like that took me a while to deprogram and like reprogram. But there is a creator on TikTok that I follow. His name is Dan McClellan, and he is a professor. He has like 4 master's degrees in biblical text, and literally he gives you like, this is what it actually meant, right? This is what you're preached, and this is what it actually meant. And he helped me a lot to interpret Like there's so many things that didn't apply to the time that we live in today that are trying to be used and as fodder or emotional manipulation to like conform. And he's like, that's not what that meant. This is what that meant at that time with that author in that period and who he was talking to and what that meant. And trying to take that and conform that into what we have today is just wrong. Right. And he tries to like paint a picture of a more realistic, like what the actual, instead taking the emotion out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's that deprogramming that I had. I don't like to push him out there because I think some of his views are counter to the way that the church is set up. So I like people to find him on their own and they do their own research.
He want to admit. He want to admit. That might. Oh, you know what happens every time somebody jump on in the every time somebody jump on I'm putting up Charles right now, but every time somebody jump in the lobby, then you can hear it you can hear that mic on through the. That's why it be so loud.
Oh, the echo. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna get out of here and let y'all.
Josh, real quick, let me get it before you go. Real quick before you go. Dan McClellan, he's first of all, he said Jesus has a wife. That's out of pocket. And also, Dan McClellan, I'll find you a couple more people, whatever, that like their whole page is about debunking him because he is the guy that does the one percentages thing. He'll say, "Oh, I talk to scholars," and he never gives the number and never gives resources on those scholars. So watch out when it comes to McClellan.
See what I'm saying? It's taste, right?
We'll talk about that.
It's taste.
We'll talk about that offline, though. Thanks for jumping on.
You got to quote the prophet Tiger from Los Angeles.
Oh Lord! First Tiger. Listen, look, this is how deep I am. I'm gonna say this before I go. I have multiple Bibles in the house, and I have the Bible with the Apocrypha in it that was originally published before King James, before they took out the Apocrypha, before they did all that.
Apocrypha was never in the Bible.
Oh, see, there we go. Look, I got you, bro.
It was never canonized. Now it was added, but it was never.
He didn't say it was canonized.
I didn't say it was canonized. I said it was a part of the Bible before a period of time where they took it out and then they canonized it, right? So like,
I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is the Bible was a bunch of letters. They wasn't together. But what you do put together, they tried to add those books also, but they were never canonized. So they wasn't a part of the Bible. So people try to look at like Enoch and the book of Titus and all that. All that. So they were never a part of the. But I got it. I got what you're saying. That's not an argument. That's just some game.
It's a philosophical conversation.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? All right.
For sure.
Hey, Dr. Dorsey, it's good to see you, brother. Y'all be good.
Dr. Dorsey came in on some stuff right there. Like, wait, what's going on?
Hey, look, man, I have 4 years of divinity study that covers a lot of that conversation. So I'm gonna be quiet over here. Under the grounds that I really mess up some people's theology. They all screwed up by the time I'm.
That's why I love sitting with pastors when they're not on, and they're like, "Man, you know what? Tickles my fancy."
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Hey, that's the truth. Afro Butterfly, that's the truth. There's too many versions and not enough literate people.
No, I will not be baited into that conversation. Somebody gonna go to their church on Sunday and be like, "This pastor said."
No, they're gonna clip you. They're gonna clip you and have an opinion about what you said without the context of what you said.
It's gonna show up one day, 10 years later, out of context.
My good brother Austin is definitely.
You can't quote Louis C.K. That's like quoting Michael Jackson.
I mean, if he was right when he said something, he was right.
Lux said, "Right is right."
Right is right. Now, if he quoted one of them private conversations that was on tape, then that's a whole other.
Well, people have opinions and taste about the source, like
for sure.
Hey,
you know what's crazy? What do you think about that? Because right is right? If something's a fact, it's a fact. It's not to be, you know what I mean? Like it's not like science where something get twisted around and discovered and all kinds of stuff like that. Like what about
this? What about getting interesting now? I don't know if I agree.
I don't agree.
I agree with that.
Wait, you don't agree with what? What I say? What I say?
When you say right is right.
Fact is a fact. Right is right. Yeah, I agree.
The fact is a fact. The Earth is round.
No, that's not. I don't. So
now now we're talking about context.
well, yeah. So then, with context, you can't. With fidelity, you can't make that statement because context always impacts the definition of what's right.
For sure, but
Right?
you can speak
So
it. You can also argue it.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So you have, so in my mind, a way to refine the statement is what's right is right for that person, or what's right is right, like for you, Luck. But what's right is right might actually be wrong for you if it's my right.
No, I'm not arguing what you're saying. I agree. I
Okay.
agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying
Okay.
is, it's almost like a short form. Instead of saying the long route to that, it's like I'm talking to two people who know what I'm talking about, right?
Okay. I got you. I
So
got
what
you.
I'm saying is that you're right in what you're saying because context, yes, is always needed. Um, if I say the Earth is round, right, and then you like, well, somebody will argue that it's flat, and I'm like, well, I don't care what they're arguing. I looked at it from space with my own view and saw what the Earth looked like from outside of space, right?
Yes.
And then now you have a whole other conversation about that being a fact or not. But I'm talking to the point of stuff you know. If you know your daughter's name is such and such, don't argue me about my daughter's name, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, but I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, right? I don't want to go off on that
Okay.
tangent.
Okay.
But what do you
Yeah.
feel about?
What did I step into?
No. I
We're
mean,
talking about what do you know about God being real or not? No,
no, that wasn't what you were talking about.
that's not what we're talking about.
We was
We
not
were
talking
talking
about
about
that.
Marvin Sapp, and I brought a little bit of the devil's advocacy in there, talking about like context
Oh man, I
and
have a lot to say about that whole situation.
yeah, and where I think I'm at now,
Mhm.
especially with what I just heard from Luck, is like perspective,
Yeah,
where I am in my journey. All these different things matter for everything. Like all of it is connected, and I feel like we get into feelings more than we get into facts or truth
Mhm.
because how things are delivered, how things feel, how things look, all those things impact people's ability to put out the noise, put out opinion, push aside prejudice, and just ingest it. Like, but what does this mean?
I hear echo coming from somebody's thing.
It's on Charles's part because I think Charles doesn't have an earpiece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hello. Oh, there
yeah,
you
he
go.
just
Okay.
muted. Yep.
Okay. Wait, was it on Charles? Was responding?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I was muting my mic because I didn't want to mess with the sound.
Oh, that's all good. That's all good. Um,
Yeah, get your earpiece.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll check it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this whole that's why I like having these conversations with. And first of all, it depends on the people you have these kind of conversations with.
For sure.
Because we gotta be open to perspectives at all times, right? Because the way I see things and Rob see things may be two different ways. But if there's a middle ground to be found, I believe you and I will find it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also allowed each other the grace to be in these spaces and have these kind of conversation where we'll get those kind of, for example, even just what happened
I
with the fact
value
thing,
difference. I value the difference.
for
As
sure, for
much as I
sure.
love what we have in common and we're like connected over our similarities,
Mhm.
including some perspectives that are really important, where you are not exactly like me, where we can disagree and debate and argue and you can
Yeah,
share with me information, perspective, sources. You can challenge me in things that you're good at that I'm not good at. You can see my back and be like, I think you missed the spot right there because I
right,
can't see behind me. That's the value of someone who has a different perspective. If
for
we're
sure.
all facing the same perspective, all on the same spot, there's no value there. And I think everybody just is so good at arguing those that are different and trying to build community with people who are pretending or trying to be the same.
Yeah. That's kind of like you kind of set up for failure in that space, that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about, since we like cameras, let's talk about contrast,
Mm.
right? Let's talk about color.
That's
Let's
dope.
talk about shading, right? All of these things distinguish the person holding the camera, their skill. It speaks to the time that they have spent in their craft. If that kind of uh, if that kind of variety doesn't exist in a conversation, you're selling every. Excuse me, darling. You're selling the people and the audience and the actual conversation short. And so I think it's important to acknowledge, just like we do when we're, hey, man, let's make an adjustment here. Look at all of the features of this picture. And when a conversation includes all of that, it increases the appreciation for the depth of the conversation. But it also challenges the listener who has not seen it to explore whether they can actually hang or not. Hold on, let me get this
Yeah,
girl
you got to
on
handle
TV
it.
together.
I'll say this though. I think that the audience and where they are matters. Like as a content creator, somebody who's going live, look, myself, Charles, AD, Josh, everybody in the squad, right? It's like we know that we desire to do things of value, not things that are gonna, cause harm. Like we're not getting off doing pranks and hurting people and scamming people. That's not what we're gonna get off. But we do to a degree have to play within the arena of the audience and where they are, what their taste is, what their
Facts.
abilities are. Like we have
Facts.
to play there.
Yeah.
So the same thing happens in business. You can't sell a vegan Mexican spot as a black person in the wrong community. It doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter how healthy it is. They're not buying that. That's not what they're buying. So you have to be able to play within the arena. So in the arena of anything, we know that people lack common sense, reading comprehension, the ability to focus. They don't even value information. Most of these motherfuckers on the internet sucked in school.
Yeah.
There was not a report card that was like, you're a scholar. Most of them were good at not going to school. Now everybody's an expert. I'm like, I remember you, Jack. Like, you wasn't in none of the honor roll classes with me arguing with teachers about what was in the book. You weren't looking for extra things to learn just to practice learning. You weren't in debate squad at lunch. You was out there doing other things. But now all of a sudden you have a lot to say because there's a process and there's growth. But the audience is full of stupid geniuses. They can't cite a source, but they can tell me all the reasons why they're right because it's an opinion. Because it hit their feelings. So if you're going to do anything, preach, teach, now we got to entertain. You can't just. The Jews in the synagogue have no entertainment during that religious service. Right or wrong?
That's right.
Because it ain't about that. Right. You know who it's about? The word and its impact on our life, the lesson. Where do certain people get the lesson? Tucked into the candy. Tucked into the medicine. You got to tuck it. You can't just be like, I'm selling something, offering something, giving, teaching, presenting, serving people the good. No, we don't want the good. That's boring.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to add to that, right, I think there's a lot of culture wrapped into what we see. If we're getting back to the audacity of people to just cut and paste and forward and give opinion, which I really have problems with. I have problems with people who see a 10-second clip and then feel like they can formulate a 20-minute opinion. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's unfortunate because somebody says more. It says more about the person who is making the comment than it does the video itself or the understanding of what's actually happening or anything like that. So I will say that, but I think what I really value is culture. Nobody gets to choose what theology, what culture they're born into, right? Children don't get to choose their parents.
Right.
This actually brings us to a real conversation about God. Why would God, I ain't going too far here, but just try to think critically for 2 seconds. Like pull yourself out of your theological uh, apology position, which is another word for argument and defense, and come to this just why would the God that you believe in and the God that you say creates people in God's image, why would God allow people to be birthed into a tradition, birthed into a culture, birthed into a place only so that you could have an enemy, only so that you could despise
Right.
and you could talk about, like only so that you could experience evil and trauma. Like, why would God do that? That doesn't make sense, in my opinion. And that's not the same God that you say that you believe in, right? So there has to be some substantive conversation. Because if God is all knowing, number one, this is by every tradition. If your God is that much in charge, if your God is that providential and your God understands all of that, and I'm not, please don't hear me speaking from my position. I am offering an opportunity for you to think critically. You ain't asked me what I think yet. So if who you say you believe in can't reconcile that question, you should just think about it. Like, go deeper, like, go pray about it. Like, go ask your imam, go ask your spiritual advisor, go sit in front of Buddha, go sit in front of your spiritual, go to your higher power and say, this is actually something that I'm curious about, right? Um, Not even help me to understand. Just give me some context so that I can try to process what it is I say I believe. But the reason why I enjoy it is because each one of the expressions of divinity adds value to the conversation about divinity. Let's go to the synagogue real quick. What kind of person must exist for you to pause in the middle of the street, lay a blanket out, and give your prayers facing a certain direction? Like, what kind of person will be on a plane, walking, pacing up and down the plane because they got to make sure that they honor God? Like, what kind of person will sacrifice their entire sex life just to honor a specific tradition? Like, you have to think about all of these different expressions and what they can contribute to your individual answers about who you say you believe in and what you say you're willing to sacrifice and what your commitment is. I think the overlap in all of these places, I'm gonna shut up after this because somebody's just gonna take this and run with it. But I think the overlap in all of this is where the conversation should come, right? It is, man, let me tell you what I value about what your faith tradition, your belief causes you to do. And let me tell you what I'm challenged by. Because some of the stuff
I like
that
that.
you say your faith tradition pushes you to do challenges me, hurts me, does not see me, doesn't even acknowledge that I exist. Can we have that conversation? Because I want to know how you, I'm not talking about because you say you hear from God, you may got a phone call that you can call God, God talk to you directly. I want to know how the voice inside of you will be responsive to the fact that your very tradition causes me to disappear. You understand?
Call
Like,
me
these are
disappear.
questions
Damn.
that I think most Christian fundamental preachers don't want to answer.
How about this? I'll add this question
Yeah.
in your footnote.
Am I
What
going
is
too far?
gossip? No, what is gossip?
Gossip.
What is gossip?
Is that the word you're saying? I'm sorry. I
Yep.
want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. You're asking me or you
I'm
asking
just,
both of us?
it's like even a rhetorical question, but
Okay,
we
bet.
can talk about it. Because to me, talking about what happened, not to me, not directly impacting me, is a part of God. Even if it's true, it's gossip.
For sure.
Like, we spend more time discussing other people and what happened with other people than talking about lessons and goals and getting like we just gonna talk about what happened. Like, because that's what people want to digest. If we got up here talking about our goals and our story, it turns into a testimony service. If you talk about things that people should learn, it turns into education and class, and that's more like. But we're so good at tuning in to mess, even if it's true. So what? Like, we just want to be, and the scripture is very clear about gossip and gossipers and those who love gossip. But that's the arena that we play in. Like, we gotta somehow talk about what happened with these people that it doesn't affect us. It don't make me poop. It doesn't make me nothing. I might not even care. But we got to talk. But that's, God was very clear about what he said to the people before Jesus and in the voice of Christ. Hey man, gossip, be careful with it. Like, we have a culture issue. And it's not new. This is long time people struggle with this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and if we're also being honest about it, of the 7 billion people on the planet, Religious thinkers don't even make up the majority.
Right. They're not the majority.
And
As a
so
collective of religious thinkers.
yeah. All of us put together, there's still more people in the world who have no idea about the what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say concophony. I hate using these big words, but all of the gods put together. What is that thing with the little pieces? Mosaic
Mm-hmm.
of religious traditions,
Mm.
right? So y'all don't know what mosaic is. Whatever. Just put all the pieces,
You
puzzle
good.
pieces,
You good.
puzzle pieces. A lot of people still don't know, and so we're fighting over the minority. Just think about that for a second.
Well,
That
I'm
growth, the
not sure if we are.
growth. Hunts. Say it again.
I'm not sure if we are fighting over the minority. I think.
Well,
Okay,
let me
go ahead. Go
explain what I
ahead.
mean by that. Most of the stuff that has been popularized are inter are inner theological conversations. So it is
Mm-hmm.
it is Baptist against Kojic. It is
For sure.
Methodist against. So these are small conversations. We've insulated ourselves and we fight with each other about who's right. When the
Right.
majority of the people who the message tells us to reach are outside and don't even understand the conversation. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
not even. They're like, what are y'all talking about? Like, why are we even having this conversation? Like, like I think and I.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he froze. And God got him out of here. It's the rapture.
Oh shoot. The raps. The raps.
Me and Love like, hey, paper, rock, scissors for who's next?
Sayuf. Salute. 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 I didn't kick him off. That's him. He did that.
I know he did. Watch it be his battery too. Like, people want to talk when the batteries are red and it says, hey, you should probably plug this in.
Yeah,
I can't stop.
Yeah, he's on his phone. Battery probably died. Something happened. He was out of here. It's such a tough place to be out because what you talking about?
Yeah, I know. That's why I said the rapture. Like, oh, look, guy picked the first in the lineup in PE.
But yeah, man, I think and to his point, I did need to let him land first before I started to speak. I was saying I kind of jumped in too early. He talked about the minority. He talks about the religious leaders all together is still the minority compared to all over the world, right? But I also understand that, yeah, but you are representatives for what the rest of the world are believing in, and I don't mean like the majority of the world believe in Jesus Christ or Allah or what I mean. I just mean like we're talking about very large groups of people. We're starting to get into majority territory, talking about who those people believe in these deities that you guys are talking about. So from that point of view, it's kind of it's perspective at that point, right? It's not like Marvin Sapp was that popular. Yes, he has hit songs, and yes, but in the grand scheme of who he's representing, then the world's gonna say something about that and be out loud about that. And hey, here's the thing: it's still, to your point, culture being very small. Actually, I shouldn't even say the world because it could be Black Christians, Black church part of the sector. You know what I mean? Which is a smaller part compared to, everybody else,
But it
everybody
also
religious.
impacts Black Muslim, Black atheist, Black Jew, Black Buddhist, right? Like the whole audience isn't all Black Christian, even though the Black Christian group ain't even on the same page. You know what would be really funny? Like if a troll, and I'm not telling nobody to do this, but if a troll would go in the comments when people have strong opinions about the Marvin Sapp clip about lock the doors, and they be like, and tell me the quote of how he's violating scripture. Or name 5 books of the Bible that are not the beginning or the end. Most people name 5 books of the Bible that are not the first 5 and not the last 5.
Oh, got it. Right?
Yeah. Like people struggle. I don't know if you watch that in like TikTok or Instagram, but sometimes he goes to like a bar and he's like, "Hey man, name 5 books of the Bible," and people be like, "Job."
Or name me any verse. Any verse.
They don't got it, bro. They don't got it.
Right.
The book of Job is not the name.
First of all, the book of Job is not the name. Yeah.
If that's the first one you starting with,
Philippines is not a book in the Bible.
What we're talking about is people who have strong opinions in the comments that can't tell you things about the thing that they have opinions about.
Yeah. But that's why I was very clear on when I started the video too, I said we have a thing where we have church culture versus um, Bible.
Oh my God, he
You know
didn't
what I
get
mean?
raptured. He back. Look at him. Wait.
Church culture versus Bible, right? And I talked about that a lot of things that we are discussing or maybe arguing about or having challenges with are the culture of church, and then a smaller community of the culture of Black church, right? Where traditionally we've taken on things and it's become our thing because we learned it in church. And I talked about how certain preachers preach, right, with a certain kind of style that that style that what specific thing he said may not be biblical, but we understand there's a line of preachers that you got that from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes performative. No disrespect to the pastors are preaching. I just mean like we understand what's church and what's you talked about that, right? Oh no, that was Joshua talked about like where women can't wear the skirts past above the
Mm-hmm.
knee and stuff like that. Where we know that that's not necessarily a biblical thing. We know that's a church rule, depending on denomination and church and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and who's preaching. Very some old school preachers can be like, hey, women don't wear pants at all, right? And very old school. And then we have new churches which are now called what's it called? Not positive.
Non-denominational.
No. The new modern, super modern church where it's progressive. Sorry, progressive churches that are preaching complete different things, right? They don't believe in what the doctrine of certain scripture in Leviticus that talked about certain parts of homosexuality and stuff like that, where they forward speaking on that plane, whatever, right? So it's all about culture that we've been talking about, and it's about dicing that down and getting to the thick of like what people are actually talking about and talking about. And I think
I
the
have a
Marvin
question.
Sapp thing, huh? I
Can
think
I
the
just
Marvin
leave it?
Sapp thing is that the Marvin Sapp thing was more so culture, right, and not necessarily like I don't think nobody was arguing. Well, I can't. First of all, I can't say what nobody was doing. I don't like speaking absolutes. But I know for me, I wasn't speaking on tithing, and I don't have no problem with tithing. I know some churches who speak against it. I know some churches say we do away with that. When Jesus got here, we do away with tithing, and there's offering or you help with the church. But I know people that don't get baptized. It's not baptized. Baptism is not a thing no more. The water birth is not a thing no more, right? So it's all about culture and how you look at it. And I think for that place, Marvin Sapp thing, a lot of it was culture. But go ahead, Dr. Orsi.
Yeah, I want those who are watching to ask yourself this question: is the Bible a cultural document? I shouldn't do this. Or a spiritual document?
Mm,
And if your answer is both, how do you reconcile the two?
mm,
Let me give another word for cultural might be historical document.
Mm-hmm.
Document
Another word for
that is
cultural
a
might
story.
be
Yeah, another.
historical.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Like it
okay,
is basically a record of what happened
right.
versus an antidote of
Mm,
what should happen. You
mm,
understand? Like,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
what if and because I have a fight. Let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all where I land. Hit me up at the Dr. Dorsey if you want to have this conversation. Here's my problem.
mm,
My problem is, does the Bible have mistakes? There's this infallible word of God. This is what they
mm,
say.
mm,
Because God can't make mistakes. So something that God written can't have mistakes. But God didn't have hands. Let's go.
mm,
So I have a challenge with people who say that the Bible doesn't have mistakes, and I'm using the word mistake on purpose. You
No,
can
on purpose.
you
Yep.
can finagle that as much
mm,
as you want. Meaning, I think that if somebody else was writing it, it might read differently. I think that if women were given the opportunity to produce a record, they'd say it differently. I think that if the oppressed people in the story got to share their side of the story, they might get to tell it differently. I think
mm,
that even if there, even if we were crazy enough to include like maybe Joseph's real side of the story, or like there are people who are missing from the document that we have to infer, right? And all of us then are permitted, and we take divine and theological and creative license to present to people who don't read. And that
Right.
then dictates how they engage the text. So for me, that's where I'm at. And I don't think that that makes God any less God. I think that illuminates who God is. I think that shows us a side of God that is the most brilliant and the most expressive. It makes sense. Like that picture of God created all of us in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It leaves room for variety and it leaves room for conversation. It also leaves room for criticism. Like I can come to the Bible and say, yo, I got a problem right here. And it doesn't leave me in a place where I don't have theological ground to stand on. So I
Right.
I want to
The
put
same
that
thing that Luck said
in the
when he had a
conversation.
challenge with his pastor that he loved, that he has a friendship with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is a document written by people. Now, how do an imperfect people produce a perfect writing when God left us imperfect when we messed up in the beginning? Like, how did it even happen? All right, you know what? I'm getting way too deep into this. And
Yeah, I
so
don't,
in
yeah.
my head, I'm teasing, I'm
Uh,
teasing
mm,
with people who are at various places in your theological journey. Trust me, you could throw everything I said out. Don't have to accept one bit of it
mm,
and stay where you are. But I think these critical questions for people who are maybe sold out on questioning the very document that's supposed to inform your life might help you to draw closer to God. It actually affirms my relationship with God way more than my relationship with God would be without these questions, because I need to be in relationship with a God who allows me to have questions that sometimes are very difficult to answer, because the life that I live consistently presents me with questions, sometimes that are never answered, and most of the time that are very difficult to answer. So if I can't have that encounter in relationship with God and the
mm.
actual text that tells me who God is, then I am somehow left without the tools that I need to live this life. I'm preaching now, but I'm suggesting that people without that angle rob themselves of an opportunity to have the depth of conversation that all who believe and use the Bible as their primary text of religious direction. Y'all gotta have this conversation out of respect for the text. And this same text has survived the criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. The most sold book in the entire world. The
Mm-hmm.
most sold book. Ain't no book ever been purchased more than that book. Obviously, it was printed on purpose. We'll deal with that another
Mm-hmm.
day. But it's still it was the most
Right.
accessible. More people have purchased it. More people have written it. Hotels still have copies in their drawers, the ones that you
Mm-hmm.
go in, the ones you know. So how did that one text survive all of that criticism, and you're afraid to
To
ask
ask the
your
question.
questions
Yeah.
to the text? Like, how does that even happen? So to me, this pushes me into a discovery and an adventure. It's called it's a faith-driven exploration of theological belief. I can't have faith in my lived life and not have faith in my learned life. All
Mm-hmm.
right, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta
Yeah.
go. Thank you guys. Salute
Yeah.
to
Hey,
you.
bro.
No, I'm just kidding. I'll be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet. Not I'm leaving. But yeah. So we can
um,
get back to the Marvin Sapp thing. I
no,
didn't
for
even
sure,
say anything
no,
about
for
that,
sure.
but yeah.
But it's funny that also made me think of culture in context of and of we've heard coming up in our lives, don't question God, right? That's culture. You know,
That is question.
that's culture, right? Which I disagree with for sure.
Say
Because
say Ufa is on my head right now in the comments for the record.
No,
oh,
that was the second shot. That was the second shot that he
Uh,
gave you.
that's okay. Hey, listen, talk to me. I'll clarify. I ain't got no issues.
no, but yeah, it remind me of that of culture of it. People say that don't question God. I think we should question everything. I don't look at certain like mistakes in the yes, because the Bible does have mistakes. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not speaking of mistakes. So when people hear the Bible has mistakes, they think I mean that God didn't actually say John 3:16 or something, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying that. I mean for the fact that like for example, I forgot what verse it is in Mark. It's missing. Mark, I forgot what verse it
Four
is, right?
different four different versions of the same story. Yep.
Right, for the verse, right? But I mean, it's an actual verse that it skips.
There's a
It's like
number skip.
the number skip. It's like 27, 29, like not no 28, right? I think it's Mark. I'm not sure, whatever. But so I know there's mistakes, And if you go insert it, because it's in other Bibles, it may be past my understanding, but it didn't even seem that bad. Like, why would you take that out, right? But somebody did it, or maybe it was a misprint. But whatever the
Yeah,
case may
I
be,
think I know what you're talking about. There's a section, there's an entire section, entire story that's actually missing
yeah,
as well. And
it's
what?
different
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
I was
so
reading it recently. I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. I mean, well, go
yeah,
ahead.
so there's that. There's that. There's people who should question, but I love how this conversation was more so on culture than digging into
The hot takes.
the hot. Yeah,
I'm gonna tell
because
you why. Because Eleanor Roosevelt, I'm a nerd. Eleanor Roosevelt has a beautiful quote that I think applies to things like this. She said really clearly. She said, "Small minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas." So if we're gonna talk about anything, I'm always gonna talk about the ideas, the teachings, the habits, the culture. I don't care about the people and what they did as much if I can't learn from it. Just be like, hot take, I don't think no pastor should ask for. Skip. I'm skipping that. And I know that's boring, but I'm skipping that because I don't get up into the gossip game. I'm not discussing the event or the person in the event if there's no value to my life or others.
Yeah, and I'm here for the questions. I'm here for the questions. Like, do you realize how boring life would be without questions?
Yeah.
Like, if you just knew everything, what's good with it?
What up?
If you knew everything, if life did not present you with questions, do you realize how plateaued, stagnant, without adventure, without discovery? Do you realize how much of your own evolution would cease to exist without questions? Like, do you realize how much your communication style would be impacted if you didn't have inquiry?
Right.
Look at the relationships that have resolved and dissolved, and I can promise you they got there because y'all thought y'all had all the answers. And if there's anything that you want to really, really, if Dr. Dorsey was gonna say anything about his theological journey, I got way more questions than I got answers. Now there's some answers that I absolutely have, but my foundation is built on inquiry and uncertainty because that leaves me responsible to not be where you found me when you met me. You see?
I'll be more worried about people who don't have questions.
Well, listen, this is my problem, Luck. This is my problem.
That's a
The
symptom
the
of a God syndrome.
Yo, and this is
Yeah.
the pressure. This is the pressure that
Wow.
most untrained and inexperienced preachers feel every single time they get up. They feel like they gotta lead people to answers. You do realize that one of the primary roles of the communicator and a strategic communicator and somebody who really cares about the development and the nurture and the relational part of human interaction is to drive you more to the question and provide you with tools to wrestle with the question so that you can arrive at the answer for yourself. Do you realize how disrespectful it is for me to just spoon feed you answers that you are actually designed to pursue for yourself so that you can pick up nuances about you along the way? Because I don't need you to get to know me. I need you to get to know you so you can be you. Like, how disrespectful is it? Like, you got somebody in your life, and the only thing they want to do is give you answers. You need to press the eject button. What's that button called? You need to get up out of that ship because
The
that's
ejection button
not.
was right.
Listen, man, you are in a relationship that doesn't value you enough to allow your mind to work. Doesn't value
That's
enough
manipulation.
to
That goes back to the beginning of what
entice.
Luck was talking about.
Absolutely, it just
If
doesn't.
I
And
got to keep
so,
spoon feeding you information, then I am the manipulator.
Yeah.
thank you so much, Sunshine. I appreciate you.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It's
So I mean,
having answers. I've always been the type that had questions, and sometimes it even got me in trouble asking too many questions, right? But I
That's
also
culture. That's culture.
it's culture for sure, and I there's so much to know, and you'll never know it all. So we all should have questions daily about everything. Like, man, me when I gave my life to Christ and I said, I submit to God, I submit to the will of God, and this is what I'm doing. This is my life now. My path is on this way. I had my pastor told me, I remember I talked to my pastor one day about slipping and falling one day. You know what I mean? Getting back on something I was on. And Pastor, he's like, look, he said, there is no end to that journey. He said, you will forever slip and fall. You will forever. There is no, we're none of us are perfect. He said, I'm just now learning that this is a forever journey. It's not that, he said, it's not that I learned that I got it all together. I don't, and I'll never will. He said, but I just now learned in my at that time, he said, my almost 20 years of preaching that, oh, this is forever, the learning. Like, you know what I mean? And he's
you can
telling
read
me
the same scripture over and over and over and over and over again and learn new things about the story, the
all the time.
context, the
All the
audience,
time.
everything. So
Because
like
we talked about perspective earlier too, Rob, right?
Yep.
We talked about how I may see you may talk, and this is not just for scripture, but how anything. But if we're talking about scripture, I may give you another perspective on scripture, and you like, wait a minute, I never even looked at it that kind of way. Right? And then it can make sense. You prayed about it, talked about it, researched it, and that could be a thing. Right. And to Dr. Dorsey's point earlier, when he was talking about giving people an answer. The reason why questions are such a good thing because your answer may not even be the answer, right? It's the forever ask or the research or the mission to find out. One thing I learned about my camera journey is learning cameras is I'm forever. Look, Dr. Dorsey, I remember at the shoot, you were thanking me for how I showed you about about ISO and the aperture and the different perspective, right? And he was like, man, y'all know, thank y'all be knowing so much. And I'll be like, bruh, this be me when I'm talking to Rob or Austin or somebody else, right?
Yo,
And I'm like, I'm telling him,
listen.
I'm only telling you as I'm learning because I ain't got
So
nothing
good.
figured out, right? I'm
That's
like
so good.
trying to figure all this stuff out. But I think what I learned, I remember I talked to my James at the time, years ago when I did a podcast with Fowleroy, he said, I asked him, man, what's your goals? He said, I don't focus on the goals so much. He said, man, if you focus on the goals, for him, the goals are like finish lines, right? He said, for me, it's the journey that where all the fun happens, right? All the figuring it out, the ups and downs, the falls, the good, the bad. But those where all your memories are. All your memories and adventures and your happy times, your ups and downs. So I don't focus on the goals so much because that would be the finish line. I'll focus on a journey. And then if I hit a mark of accomplishment, then cool. I did that. I did that one thing. I'm not, and I kind of look at life like that now, how I view life and how I am with my friends. That's why I like talking to Charles because we get together. I'm literally looking forward to us walking to the side and we can be in the middle of, we can be on a roller coaster and I done looked over it. Now we talking about space or God or someone on the roller coaster because that's just how
Facts.
I noticed that me and Dr. Dorsey, that's how we get down inside of our group of friends. When we get together, we can be talking about paper and it's gonna talk end up going somewhere super deep, right? Because that's just how we get down. So anyway, to your point, I love asking these questions because we don't know. Like we just don't know about we spend so much time thinking we understand things and know things, right? And that's so much time you spent away from actually learning something, right? The more you think you know something, you're spending more time away from actually learning something.
Yeah.
That's what it makes. Hold on. That's what it makes me think of. All knowing, omniscient, right? God is all knowing. You know what the opposite of that is? It's not ignorance. It's a know-it-all.
Yeah.
The person, the attitude of I know everything is the literal opposite of God who knows all things.
Right.
Because there's no way that you can know it all. You can't be God. And you're so far from knowing God that if you believe that you are have an attitude of I know all things, I know better than you, I'm right, you're wrong. That attitude is anti-God. But it is also very, very Western. It is very American. It is very white. It is very wealthy. It is very man to be like, I know better. Fuck gut. Fuck spirit. I know better than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you think the pinnacle is. Even if you are proven wrong, you still die on the hill and argue it like you're right and engage in the barbs, use your tools to get around some punches and hits to be like, yeah, but I'm smart. I know things. The pedagogy of Western education is I studied these things and I'm going to put them in your brain. And if you learn them, I'm a good teacher. But if you don't learn them, you're not a good student.
So yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, right.
So this is actually,
Wow.
man, this is so good.
That's
This is
crazy.
so good. This is so good, Rob. Hey, so I also align the lack of questions to the reach of capacity. So some people are so full of answers they don't have room for questions, which is a real statement about not like when people have answers and they have all of the answers to Rob's statement, that is communicating how small they actually are. The person who has questions is actually making a statement about their capacity to receive. So now where does this lead me? My growth journey is directly tied to my ability to avail my capacity to what life is trying to offer. And life is always asking a question. So here's where I pause. What kind of day would you have if every day you asked yourself, what questions am I going to ask? And at the end of every day, what questions were answered? Just think about that. Like,
That's fire.
doesn't the day have a large return for somebody who dares regularly ask, now, what did I learn today? What questions? Like, and it could be, this is where gratitude comes in for me, because some days answer questions that you've been asking for a really long time, and you don't even know it. So you didn't pause to not deal with what you answered, but what questions were answered that you asked. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's a
Yeah.
real unique
Sure.
approach. And so anyway, and I also think it can add value to relationships. Like when Rob and I met, and when you and I met, I had way more questions. One of my primary questions was, "Who the hell are you?"
Right,
And
for sure.
how did we
That's the
even land in the same space more than once? And
right,
why do
right.
we keep running? Remember, Rob, it's like, why do we keep running into each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what, who, like, the second Rob opened up his mouth, look, I looked over, like, my first question was, who is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that he was showing up moved me to
Mm-hmm.
inquiry, not conclusion.
Right.
Okay. This is a real deep conversation. And I think it can add value to collective relationships. It can really prevent a lot of injury that happens in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, and it can help us to appreciate our differences a little bit more.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But you got to mute. You got to
All right.
color.
Good view.
Yeah, my daughter wants to color. I just finished my statement. That was all I was going to say.
I
Mm-hmm.
think we should. Also, I think we should. First of all, Rob, what's up with? I don't mean to jump topics, but this is making me think of Men of the Village.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, it's only a couple people in here, but for the people who are in here, we had a podcast. Me, myself, Rob, and our friends had a podcast. Have a podcast
Have
called
a
Men of the
podcast.
Village.
Yep.
Yeah, Men of the Village, and I think we should still do a once a week pod like this, where we talking about
Yeah. It's
because we,
supposed to be Thursdays.
every time you said what
It's supposed to be
you said
Thursdays.
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 Yeah,
Yep.
I think we should. Right? I think we should do it. And here's the thing: if there's a date that Rob could commit to, right, that you can commit to a date and time, and I can commit to a date and time. right? And then obviously the brothers are involved, but I know they got moving around at different schedules, right? But I think if we can commit to a date and time, then we can keep it going where we do weekly for sure live stream. Men of the Village have a schedule. We have a schedule so my community and your community can fall in. Because I'll be doing random times now because I'm still figuring out scheduling and stuff like that. Thank God that Rio's community, the Ghetto Cafe, they show up for me, right? Which I appreciate. My man Sayuf, Sunshine Baby, these are the Ghetto Cafe. This Rio's community, but they become a part of my community because they show up for me, support me, right? And shout out to them for that because they stay showing up and support me. I love them for that. But I think if I had a set time where I schedule something where they know for sure Luck is going to be on live every day with them at Thursday at such and such, then they can show up for us more properly in a better way because they know what time and to be prepared to be on there. Instead of randomly finding me online because they got a notification or for the last minute and they may be able to work. You know what I mean? So
instead of doing a Beyonce album drop randomly, it's a
because I don't,
the Jay-Z album where you know it's coming out on this day.
Man, my slogan is good character, good community. They know that's my saying. That's my good character, good community. I want to build good character here. That's what we're gonna be talking about, and everything we talk about is going to be on positive, right? You know, we'll get into some things, but it's all on a positive note on how to be better and good community. My community is a community of positivity. Nobody being there acting up. Nobody being there talking crazy, whatever.
No, they might have some jokes. No, there's some jokes in there.
There's jokes for sure.
You gotta get the jokes off. You gotta get the jokes off.
For sure. But they won't let no random stranger come in and disrespect though.
That's good.
A random stranger come in and disrespect like a bot or a random stranger come in here to be mean. There's different jokes there's a joke, cool joke. You know, I'm the easiest target in the world. I'm a fat dude. Easiest target in the world. Right? So, but there's jokes, but then there's mean.
Yeah.
Everybody here being mean. Right? You know what I mean? So I think we should get that Men of the Village thing locked in. So that's a place they can go to. And I got a idea called Up with Luck. I want to do in the mornings, Monday through Friday. I want to do Up with Luck in the morning after Rios. My man Rios is up 5 in the morning every day, bro, from 5 to 8.
Rios,
Monday through Friday.
And you know, like I feel like, you know, this is Rob's concept, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's network-ish stuff where it is. He's up at 5, you're up at 6, I'm up at 7, Rob's up at 8. Like there is a way, and I'm not, you know, I may be being ambitious, but I also think this, man. You know, look, study your randoms because I think you have
Study my
something.
randoms?
Yeah, in your random, you have data. So while you're trying to figure out what your ordinary is going to be like, you got a lot of data about the random times, and your community is actually talking to you. They're saying, hey, they're not just showing up for you because they like you. They're showing up for you because they are communicating to you about their own availability and their own preferences of content.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's important for you to not miss, like what you're doing is extraordinary and it is a model too. Like random is a model. Am I saying it right, Rob? Like because I know you may want to standardize and you may want to get to a place, but random, as you call it, not me. I think you send notices out like, yo, I'm about to get on. So they too random. But the random has a model too. And what if that's your exclusive offering? Now people keep up with you because they don't know when you go pop up, but they know it's gonna be good. And then when you do finally tell them ahead of time when you're going to pop up, then you get sort of an exponential impact. So I wonder if that's something that you may want to keep close to the vest.
Man, I'll definitely take it in consideration because it's all in this phase right now. I don't know nothing. This is all I'm figuring it out, and this is the fun part for me because I'm having so much fun doing it, just figuring it out. Just the fact that even the y'all logged on today and we had a dope conversation, a well-rounded conversation. The chat. I'm glad that they Seuf stayed around. Austin logged in. Sunshine Baby logged in. Afro Butterfly left good comments. The chat don't need to be 1,000 people for me to feel supported, right? You know what I mean? Because I understand it's all new for me. So to your point, shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nick, man. He was one of the first ones in today. It really showed support. Really been supporting me. So yeah, I'm all figuring it out, you know, and I'm having fun doing it. But this is the fun part because I'm learning. I'm learning to
And
get better.
people
I
get to
gotta
watch
be.
you get better. People get to watch the movie from the friendship, right? Like they get to be in the community that the scenes of a character growing and getting tighter and getting success. They get to
Man,
be with you along the way. I get to see
somebody said that
Rocky
today.
running in the neighborhood, bro.
Somebody said that today. I was because I was on screen before you got on, Rob. Earlier, I was trying to learn how to share my screen, and I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to share my screen. I'm gonna do it on now in front of y'all live." You know, and somebody else has said that's cool. Like we gonna learn together. You know what I mean? Because I'm figuring it out. You know what I mean? I have my platform which I love. Rob, I don't know if you guys indulge yet, but this platform is amazing. Like I think you guys would love
But
it.
I think that you absolutely should get a coupon code or something because I ain't never seen somebody advocate for something as
It's so
strong as
dope.
you advocate.
I'm just so excited about this, and it's so easy to use, and it's so dope. And obviously, I'm still learning some parts, but for the most part, it's super easy to use, and I love it. And it's cheaper than a lot of the other ones out there. But I thank y'all for just separate together, but separately. I thank y'all for logging on today. I'm trying to go live almost every day. That's my thing. And whenever I'm on live, you know, you guys are more than welcome to obviously jump on, and you guys are very intelligent and well rounded and can literally talk about anything, literally, which is part of the gifts, many gifts that you do have. But I am going to try to do that upward luck thing. I would love to go live right after my man Rios go live and then talk about my day to day morning things. But I do want to do the open phone call thing too. My man Rios does the phone call where they call in like the last maybe 30 minutes or hour. I'm not sure what it is, but I do want to try to do that and talk to people also because I
Absolutely.
love having conversations with people, picking somebody's brain, maybe give some advice, learning something, whatever the case may be. I do want to have that kind of community where they can feel like they can depend on me in the morning like their coffee. You know what I mean? I think that'll be a dope way to build community. And obviously, I'm going to create outside of that, um, outside of still doing videos about my cameras. My Sony videos are my most watched videos. It's like my people who are into my camera stuff are telling me, "Yo, do more Sony stuff, or more Sony cameras, or more
Same thing with
ZV-10."
my Fuji and my Leica stuff. Yep.
Right? Same things, right? So I would still do those, still be creative to do those, but I also just want to have great conversation, man. Conversations like these are the reason why I'm so excited about doing live. You know what I mean? I thank y'all for dropping in today, man, for real.
Yeah, man, I'm actually about to go live on my channel right now
Not
and
because funny.
Yeah, I
record
love it.
my oh man, that's funny. I love it. Hey, I'll take it and run. I will take it and run.
Oh,
Um,
Charles, before you go to too, also, I think that's a great idea what Sunshine Baby was saying. I would love to get you on me and Rio's podcast so you can talk about health and
oh,
like different ways
anytime.
to get fit, health. I think that'd be incredible because you've been doing an awesome job daily with your videos. Stay
Yeah, I'm
consistent,
about to
stay
get up right
adamant.
now, bro. I'm about to get up right
Oh, good.
now
No.
because
Okay.
I missed this morning, man. I have a bit of a confession. I know we getting off. My confession is, man, I finished up the 21-day challenge. I was fatigued, and I said, yo, but I'm still gonna get it in every day. I'm on part 3, I think, of a fat
Mhm.
loss series that I'm talking about. It's going up. So I'm about to go and do I think part 4 this time, but I'm always up to talk about fitness. Rob knows I can get lost in the conversation,
That's
and it's
good.
changing
Okay.
my life, bro. It's changing my life. I think that I just there's so much to be talked about, and I like to just tell people I'm done. I promise, but I like to tell people if you're gonna enjoy life, enjoy the body that you're living life in. And so, you know, do what you need to do to not just go places, but make
Mhm.
sure the thing that you're traveling in is suited and well built so you can enjoy where you're going. I'm gonna get over there and do it, man. I appreciate you. I'm only gonna be on for 30 minutes. At least that's my plan.
Okay.
And so
I got to go do
get it done.
an errand or two. One of them for my daughter. So I love y'all.
Yes.
Man, love y'all, man. I'll talk to y'all soon, and hopefully we'll all be on live together soon again. Rob, let me know when you want to do the lock in the date and time, and then we're gonna do a minute village too.
All right, for sure.
All right, my brothers.
All right.
And everybody in the chat, man, peace. I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. I'm gonna get it together, but I'm glad y'all, taking the journey along with me, man. I appreciate that, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. One love. Yes, sir.
Later.